There are some watches out there, watches that I am particularly trying to find myself, that when you buy them, when you have them in hand, you start looking at them and you start thinking, how does this watch only cost this amount of money? Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I am talking about watches. And I'm talking about watches that really excite me. And they really excite me because they're fantastic watches, but then they also excite me because they're great value watches. Or at least that's how I feel about these watches when I have them in hand. I'm talking about those watches when you get them in hand, you think, wow, how is this watch not more expensive? Now, I understand the realities of why they might be priced the way they are, but it's my personal perception of the watch. When I have them in hand, I'm thinking, wow, this should cost more. Other brands, if they had the exact same watch, would be charging more. This is not only a great watch to have in hand, great watch to have on wrist, but it also feels like a bargain. And I'm a bit of a bargain hunter because I'm in the bargain watch market because I don't have that much money to spend on watches. So finding these sort of needles in haystacks, these watches that are amazing for their price, is certainly something that interests me. And I think I've found the single best watch for the money that you can buy. I've found quite a few over the last few years, but I think I've found the one that stands out in the crowd of any other watch I've ever experienced. Today, I want to show you that watch. Today, I want to show you why I think this is the best watch you can buy for the money. But firstly, I want to show you the other watches that have that same sort of feel. They feel so much better than what they should be for the price that they've been charging. Now, I have shown most of these watches on the channel before, so I'm not going to spend too much time on each watch. But I want to show them again because they really are something rather special and they should get some attention for people for being watches that are much better than they should be for the money. And then at the end, I'm going to show you this one single watch that I think dominates this idea, is the best watch that I've ever come across for the price that they're charging. Now, the first watch that really stood out to me in the way that I'm talking about today is the Steinhart Ocean One. I've owned two Steinharts and both of them really could actually be on this list. They both had that same sort of feel of quality and what I'm talking about today. But I'm going to show you the Ocean One today because it was the first one that I owned and it really stood out to me. It is so well made. It contains a great Salida movement. It's also Swiss made. It's priced under $1,000 Australian dollars, but it really does feel like it should cost a significant amount more than that. I'm sort of thinking about twice the price of $1,000 because other watches that I've experienced don't feel anywhere near as good as this watch and is priced more than this watch. The next watch I borrowed from a friend and it absolutely blew me away in regards to quality, and that is the Jano Ocean Rover. Maybe one of the best watches that I've ever experienced at around that $1,500 Australian dollar range. This really does feel like a watch that should be 5 times the price. And I've had a lot of people mention to me that they have this watch and they also have a Rolex, which, this Jano is definitely sort of homaging, and they say that the Jano actually comes across better than the Rolex. Not to say that it is better, but it certainly looks and feels equally as good, if not better. And of course, one of the absolute best watches I've ever come across, one that I will absolutely always recommend to people, is Christopher Ward, in particular the one that I owned, which is the C60. Singly, one of the best watches, and even a watch that I've described as perfect for, again, around about the $1,500 Australian dollars. This feels like a much more expensive watch. This looks like a much more expensive watch, and the value of it is outstanding. But let's put the value of this watch aside because it's just a really good watch. As I mentioned, I've mentioned this as the perfect watch because I think it ticks all the boxes that you want from a watch, but it also is such a lovely watch that you get an emotional connection to it. And then I had the opportunity to get hands-on with the Dolce DRZ. And this one's around $1,200 Australian dollars. And this really shocked me. This watch I'd seen pictures of and I thought looked great. I thought it looked really interesting. I didn't realize how good it was going to be. This actually feels better quality than the Christopher Ward. Almost better quality than the Jano. This feels as good quality as some watches that I've seen in the $5,000 to $10,000 range. Again, not to say that it is worth $5,000 to $10,000, but that is how it feels when you have it in hand. And plus you get this awesome, unique design, great looks, something very different than other watches that I've seen. Even compared to the other watches that I've shown you, which are amazing, this has something rather special about it. But the single best watch is actually cheaper than all the ones I have just mentioned. It is amazing quality. It is an amazing looking watch. It is from a brand that has a great history. This watch has a great movement. It has a great sort of everyday ability to wear, and is only around about 550 Australian dollars if you can find it at the right price. It is the Glycine Combat Sub, one of the best watches I have come across. It is not only a great watch, but it's a lovely watch to wear. It has a really thin case width as well, which gives it a beautiful on-wrist experience. And it really does feel like a much more expensive watch. There is so much going for this watch that I understand why everybody who owns this talks so much about it. They almost rave on about it, saying that this thing is something special that everybody should get some hands-on experience with. And now that I have had hands-on experience with it, I have to agree. Now, I do actually like almost all watches that I've ever come across, but I am a little bit extra excited when I come across watches that really blow me away that end up being slightly affordable, or at least more achievable than some other watches that I've experienced, especially when they come across and feel as good as the ones I've just shown you today. And it is a bit of a goal of mine to find more of these watches, because I want to own them and then I want to share them with you guys. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, maybe watch these ones next.